Welcome to Blue Compass, where we are answering the questions we didn't quite have time to get to at our recent CompassCon conference. So CompassCon is basically a marketing event where we invite all our clients. It's exclusive, client only, and all of our experts, like Katrina, who is with me here today. All of our experts share their insights. This year, we talked a lot about generative engine optimization, GEO. We talked about SEO. We talked about website best practices. Of course, we talked a lot about AI, unsurprisingly. And we gave our clients a lot of different insights. And so we didn't get to some of the questions that were texted in for our panel. And so we're going to get to those today. So, Katrina, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, I'm going to go through these. All right, the first one is, what industry resources do you recommend following and consuming as a small department to stay on top of the ever-changing digital industry?
Love it. My first recommendation would be Search Engine Land. They do a really good job of talking about any industry updates, things that are confirmed by Google. That's a pretty great resource, and they cover topics besides just SEO. So that's really nice if you're a small team. Search Engine Journal also has pretty good content too. Each of our team members has their own preference between the two. So one of those two would be a really great resource. And then shameless plug for the Blue Compass blog. Honestly, we have so much GEO and AEO content out there right now. And the benefit of our blog, not to be salesy, is that we're talking about things that aren't confirmed in the industry, but that we're observing across our clients right now. So we're willing to be a little bit predictive. There's a chance we're wrong, but so far everything that we've been putting out there aligns with the best practices that we're using internally. So we're able to publish a little bit earlier on some of this, since we're not waiting for Google to confirm everything before we're posting it, or for the AI platforms like ChatGPT, OpenAI to confirm before we're publishing. So that's an extra resource.
Yeah, I think another thing we do is, if you can just follow, an industry expert on social that you really like, and that's actually, helpful and useful, that's a great thing to do too. And if you can therefore, integrate it more spontaneously into your schedule, where you can consume, insights, marketing insights anytime, I think that's really good also. Yes. And then, of course, our YouTube channel too, shameless plug what you're on right now. We make a lot of videos. We do a lot of webinars and talk about all this sort of things as well. So we honestly put a lot of time and effort at Blue Compass into sharing our expertise and trying to keep our clients really up to date. And one of the reasons we do that is because we love our clients and we love our audience, but also, when we sometimes teaching is the best way to learn. And when we purposely ask our team to create this type of content, it helps all of us learn as well, which is good.
Absolutely.
Okay, next question. Let's check it out. When you're starting Google Ads, keywords are obviously the key to have success, but how could your company be the top search at the top of Google when your competitors are bigger companies than you are? Which is a great question. It's so competitive out there, and some your competitors might have these massive budgets that you don't have sometimes.
Absolutely. The short answer for this is focusing on your quality score. So if you take away one thing as you're diving into how can I get my SEM or my Google Ads campaigns to perform better, quality score is the answer to that. To break that down a little bit further, there's three main pieces to a quality score. So you have your landing page experience. When they get to your site, does it match the ad that they saw? Is there quality keywords on the page? Does it load fast enough? Is there a clear call to action? All of those normal landing page best practices. The second piece of the quality score is the expected click-through rate. So that compiles your headlines and descriptions. It compiles the experience of the ad itself in comparison to the landing page, in comparison to the keywords. So that's a Google-made metric that you can see in the Google Ads platform. And then the third piece of your quality score is your keywords quality.
Yeah.
So within the keyword report, you have a quality number next to each keyword, and that tells you, is that quality showing up on your landing page? Is it showing up in your headlines, your descriptions, your PMAX assets, all of those things? So those three pieces combined turn into a quality score. And that allows you to bid higher than somebody else while paying a little bit less per click in those situations. So that's why that's really important. You can throw an infinite amount of money at something to make it to the top, but if you have a poor quality score, you're not just doubling, but like triple, quadrupling how much you're going to have to spend per click for each keyword. So that's a really great way to hone into those three components, do a really good job with the whole experience instead of just focusing on how much money you might throw in at each keyword.
Yeah. And then maybe sometimes, I mean, you can be a little more creative with some of the keywords you're actually targeting in Google Ads, because if you're going against a bigger competitor, maybe they are going after that really evident, industry keyword that everyone's going after. But if you do the longer tail keyword, something that fewer people are searching for, but there's less competition, that can be really effective sometimes.
Absolutely. Longer tail keywords are a great option. Just varying, maybe you find something, like you said, that's got a little bit lower volume, but you can show up at the top of all of those medium volume keywords. And that still gets you the right traffic, the right clicks. We also like to think about, where is somebody in their behavior funnel when we're looking at our keyword. If it's just that really generic industry term, short tail keyword, something like that, they're not really ready to purchase, convert, do those things. So it is important to have some brand awareness up there. But if we can start targeting mid to low funnel when we've got a lower budget, we're able to get them when they're closer to being ready to convert on either a purchase, a service, understanding, picking their provider.
Yep. Okay. Next one. We have distinct user types hitting our site with completely different needs. What's working to serve and enhance multiple user experiences without building 5 separate sites? And in what ways are you seeing AI capabilities being integrated into websites? So we'll do the first part. Do we need 5 separate websites if we have 5 separate audiences? Like, how does that work?
We recommend being really purposeful about your content architecture and your navigation experience. Industry term mega menu. So being able to have a little bit larger menu that services a wide variety of users is a really great way to keep everybody on a single domain, keep your brand and your marketing team from having to optimize across a whole bunch of platforms. And there's really cool ways we can do that. So being intentional about that user being able to self-identify where are they amongst your users, really getting that verbiage into your main navigation. And then when you have a lot more real estate for the dropdown that comes from it, we're able to then give them quite a few options of where they need to navigate. We can even do really cool things like include a call to action in the side of the main navigation there. So there's a lot of cool stuff you can do if you go with like a larger drop-down menu that allows your users to self-identify where they need to be while still giving them almost a full navigation experience in their specific section.
Yes. And I think you have to just use common sense with some of it. Like I know a financial services company, and they started a restaurant, which is kind of cool. But those are vastly different things. So like in that case, it did make sense for them to separate out and have a restaurant website that's separate from it. Different audiences, vastly different things. So that was clearly the right choice. For us with Blue Compass, digital marketing agency, and West 48 in event space, probably makes sense for us to have a separate website, for West 48, as we've talked about. But in most cases, we're usually a little more a fan of consolidating websites into one than splitting them off. There's definitely times in which you need to split it off, or maybe it's a microsite or something like that. But, generally, the bigger the website, the more domain authority it has. And for the most part, bigger websites win more than smaller websites. Not always, and it depends on what you're doing.
And you could have 2 very different audiences, but at the end of the day, maybe some of the content is similar. For example, we have a painting company we work with. They service homes, which is like purely residential. We are looking for you or I needing to paint our home. They also service full commercial properties. So you're looking for like the people who are managing commercial real estate. 2 different audiences, but the core of that information is still painting quality. How do we pick our colors? How do we do interior design? So for something like that, you want to keep it together because you get that trust across your whole domain that you were talking about, that domain authority, even though we've got 2 wildly different audiences that we're trying to target, and we need to talk to them in 2 very different ways.
Yes. Okay, the second part of that was, in what ways are you seeing AI capabilities being integrated into websites?
So many different options. We're both going to have a lot to say about this. One of the coolest things that I've seen us working on or clients doing lately is using AI search. So utilizing an AI-powered search engine on the site, but it's limited to only servicing and crawling your specific site. So it's really cool to be able to work that in. It gives a little bit more personalized experience on the search side than just showing them page results. So that's one really cool one that we're liking. What are other ways we're using it?
Some other ways that it's being used out there occasionally is like for personas. So sometimes, if someone and like unique content. And so you can see this a little bit like if you go on Amazon, you go to Amazon, it's like not everyone has the same experience. And this is something we're experimenting more with ourselves, with our websites that we work with. But sometimes it is really good to give people a different experience when they come to your websites, again, because slightly different audiences. And again, Amazon does this. It's based on your user history and things like that, but it also uses AI to intelligently decide what it's going to show you based on what it knows about you. And so there's other websites that are starting to do this a little more and more too, which maybe that would be good for you and your website and your industry, but something to be aware of.
I think there's a lot that AI can do on the back end to help people populate their website too. So using it for auditing, for editing, like just getting rid of some of those things. Do I meet the SEO best practices checklist? It can crawl your page while it's in preview mode, get you that information. It can also help with like content outlines and content gaps is a really big way we're seeing that. We don't want AI to completely write our content. You know that if you've been following along with Blue Compass, but it can do a great job of analyzing multiple competitive websites and telling you what are you not talking about on your site and you have no content about, and now you've got your next 5 blogs because it helped you fill that content gap too.
Yeah. I'll go into the next question, but before I do so, if we can help you with any of this, just reach out and let us know whether you're a client or not. Just simply go to bluecompass.com, fill out the contact form, or if you know someone here, just reach out to us. If you have my email address, reach out to me, and we're happy to discuss, how we can help your team do some of this stuff. Some of it's really complicated. Some of it, you might not have time to do. So we're always happy to help. All right, next question. Thinking about how consumption of web content is changing and shifting with AI, what do you see as the biggest necessary change to the website structure?
I think we're both going to have a different answer on this. My answer is going to be schema. And we have considered schema a best practice from an SEO perspective for quite a while, but now it no longer feels optional when you want to be showing up in AI platforms. Google does a good job of crawling quite a few sites. They've had so many years to build up their crawlers and their bots, but these AI platforms are still in the building process. So the more efficient you can make it to get through your site and get them information, the more likely they are to service your specific information and your pages. We also are seeing it's a matter of showing up once in an AI result versus showing up with 3 to 4 different resources in an AI result. We're seeing a lot of our clients who are really embracing schema right now. They'll show up with their competitors, and we know there's like 6 to 7 total sites that can show up in a single AI result, but our clients can be taking up like 3 to 4 spaces in there instead of just showing up once. And that's so powerful as we look at the user behavior for the people who are choosing to click through from these AI platforms and those really high conversion rates. So that's a real leg up. Another thing that I would say to go along with that, and it's like an addendum to schema, is your URL structure. So URL structure really helps these AI bots and AI agents understand where your content falls in order of priority. And we've cared about folder structures for quite a while with SEO, but now the fact that breadcrumb schema can make a huge difference in these page topics and your topic clusters being found more holistically, that really tells us that our URL structure matters quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, that's a really good answer. And I mean, that's a little more technical answer, but it's so good. I think JavaScript is another thing that's also technical, but JavaScript is a technology basically that's overutilized on the web, I would say, and AI bots don't really like it very well. And so it's hard for them to grab information from websites that have tons of JavaScript. I mean, that plus, like you said, you mentioned the folder structure. I would just say overall, if you have an old clunky website, that structure has to change. I would say now more than ever, and I've been doing this for, 20, 25 years, however long, now more than ever is it important to have a modern website, like a site that's, no more than 5 years old and probably no more than 3 years old. Because if you have an older website, I mean, these AI platforms probably don't like it very well. It's loading slow. They have trouble going through the folder structure. They have issues with the JavaScript and things like that. So just having a clean, modern website, it's easy to crawl. That's probably just incredibly important right now compared to before.
For sure. Anybody who's looking to get started with this, honestly, if somebody comes to us and they're like, I don't know if my site's showing up in AI, the first thing we do as a cheat code, like takeaway from right now, drop a URL that you really want to show up into that AI agent, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, any of those, and just ask the question, can you crawl this page and tell me what it's about? And if it can't, you then have the opportunity to follow up with what's blocking you from crawling this page. And that's a really great way to see, like, is there something on the technical side? Is it the robots? Like, there's so many things that clunkier websites like WordPress websites could accidentally have that's preventing these AI bots from crawling your site. So that can help you troubleshoot too if you're wondering if your content's accessible.
Yeah, good advice. And then one thing we do at Blue Compass, and we talked about this at CompassCon, but we do audits. We do something called digital discovery, where we audit the website, we audit all of your online presence and basically see what's working and what's not. So if this stuff is confusing to you, which it is very confusing in some ways, we can help you figure out, okay, what's working, what's not, and where do I go from here? And we can help give you that guidance. All right, let's look at the next one. The last one we have here, we are constantly getting recommendations from outside marketing consultants on utilizing landing pages for lead generation. They suggest a landing page away from our website, but I would personally prefer to drive traffic to our website. What is Blue Compass's opinion, and how are you navigating these conversations with current customers? That's a great question, because I mean, over the years, we've run into so many marketing agencies and they're like, landing page, landing page, landing page. They always want a separate landing page. And a lot of time, you know, if you're working with a marketing agency or a consultant, one of the reasons why they want a separate landing page is so they can control it. They probably don't have control of your website, and they want to be the ones in control. And that's why they suggest having it separately, which doesn't necessarily mean it's a good reason to do.
Absolutely. If your website is easy to use and easy to build, there is absolutely no reason not to keep your landing pages, even if they're for lead generation, on your website. You want analytics across your whole site. Like, think about the types of ads that you want to run to that. What's the most powerful low funnel ad that you can do? Remarketing. And if you only have this landing page and you don't have the power of your entire site or the key pages on your site, you have lost such a huge opportunity to actually drive conversions. So we absolutely agree with whoever texted this in. We want to keep these on your site, and it's not because we build websites. It's because it gives you, as the marketer and as the company, the control and the power to have a better resulted campaign. You've got analytics across your site. You have additional calls to actions. Even if you're trying to drive them towards one specific, I need you to fill out this form, giving somebody who's not quite ready to do that one other click option to learn more about you, download a white paper, do any of that. Like, all of that is so incredibly valuable and powerful. And doing that on your site only builds your domain authority and your trust that you have with that client. Another thing, I could talk about this literally all day. You want people to be able to find this landing page. You know, like, they can't convert on it if they can't find it. And if you are doing a standalone landing page, you have very minimal SEO value on those. You don't have the authority, the trust that Drew previously mentioned across your site. And so the only place people are going to find this is from your ads. But if they're looking for you and they're able to find it in search, that is another powerful way for you to get more leads on that. So yeah, I've got a gazillion reasons why we agree and we want those on your site. There's ways to make the navigation a little bit more minimal, like so many things. Stacks. I'm not trying to be salesy right now. Anytime you have the ability to change the layout of your page, like, you can completely customize a landing page so it looks different than the rest of your site. It can really wow somebody. It can be so focused on this new, unique message that the landing page needs without pulling it out of your total site domain.
You can have a separate URL that takes them to this landing page. So yeah, I agree. I mean, I would say probably 95 to 99% of the time, it makes sense to have a landing page within your website. Mm-hmm. Really, really important to do so. Again, that domain authority, it's more likely to be found in search. So many reasons. On rare occasion, perhaps we've suggested a separate URL. Sometimes maybe if we're working with a client that has a crazy old website and they can't even update it, or they have horrible code on it or something like that, maybe we've done a separate landing page. It's very, very rare. There's a service called like Lead Pages that you might be familiar with, where you can make landing pages. But again, Katrina's right. I mean, it's very rare that it makes sense to have a separate landing page. Try to keep things within your site as much as you can.
Absolutely. Even in the cases, we've had 2 instances in the last couple of years where we've needed something like that. One of them, the developers that they were previously working with, this was not a Blue Compass site, would not implement without charging them an arm and a leg, and they didn't have access to add a new page. So that was a case where we did this. And then another one was, like you were talking about, there was just no flexibility to the page builder, so we couldn't even get our forms in there, in which case we did use a tool like Lead Pages, but we embedded it into the domain. So there's a lot of ways to even use a custom landing page solution like that to get your own look and feel while still keeping it on your domain.
Yeah. Katrina, thank you for your insights, and thank you for checking out the video. If you're a Blue Compass client, you came to CompassCon, thank you so much. We really enjoyed seeing you, and we're excited. Our next one will be in fall, and we'll post the date for that soon, but we hope you can make it. And if you're not a Blue Compass client, you can become one if you would like to work with us and like us to help you with your website, your online presence, your SEO, your GEO, etc. Don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks. We'll talk to you next time.